Every day, millions over the age of 60 unknowingly consume one specific food that's silently damaging their heart. It's not sugar. It's not salt. And it's not red meat. In fact, most doctors don't even warn about it. But new research shows this one common food, found in nearly every pantry, can increase your risk of heart disease by up to 47%. It causes inflammation in your arteries, disrupts your cholesterol balance, and even triggers hidden blood pressure spikes, all without any symptoms. It might be sitting on your kitchen shelf right now. If you're over 60, your body processes food very differently, and what seemed harmless at 40 could be deadly at 65. Stay with me until the end, because it'll show you not only what this food is, but also what to eat instead to cleanse your arteries, lower your blood pressure, and feel younger in just weeks. After the age of 60, the heart begins to experience changes that make it significantly more vulnerable to damage and disease. These changes are not sudden but are the result of a gradual decline in cardiovascular function that has been building for decades. One of the primary concerns is arterial stiffness. As people age, the large arteries lose their elasticity due to the breakdown of elastin fibers and the buildup of collagen. This makes it harder for blood to flow freely, placing extra pressure on the heart, which must pump harder to circulate blood through increasingly rigid vessels. The endothelium, a thin layer of cells lining the arteries, also becomes less efficient. This layer is responsible for producing nitric oxide, a molecule that keeps blood vessels relaxed and flexible. With aging, nitric oxide production declines, leading to higher blood pressure and a greater risk of clot formation. Another critical factor is the accumulation of plaque within the arteries, known as atherosclerosis. This buildup of cholesterol, calcium, and inflammatory cells narrows the arteries over time, reducing blood flow to the heart and other organs. While this process can begin earlier in life, it often accelerates after 60, especially if dietary and lifestyle habits remain poor. Inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein tend to rise in older adults, indicating chronic low-grade inflammation that further damages the vascular system. Aging also affects the heart muscle itself. The left ventricle, which is responsible for pumping oxygen-rich blood to the body, can become thicker and less flexible, making it harder for the heart to fill and contract efficiently. This leads to reduced cardiac output and contributes to fatigue, shortness of breath, and a decreased ability to perform physical tasks. The electrical system of the heart is not immune to aging either. Older adults are more prone to arrhythmias, such as atrial fibrillation, due to changes in the conduction pathways of the heart. These irregular rhythms can increase the risk of stroke and reduce the overall efficiency of the cardiovascular system. Additionally, mitochondrial function declines with age, affecting the heart's ability to produce the energy it needs to operate efficiently. This energy shortfall contributes to the weakening of the heart muscle and the slow but steady decline in cardiovascular resilience. Hormonal changes, especially a drop in protective hormones like estrogen in women, also play a role in increasing heart risk after 60. Estrogen has a vasodilatory effect and helps maintain healthy lipid profiles, and its loss contributes to a rise in cholesterol and arterial stiffness. Lifestyle factors compound these physiological changes. Many older adults become less physically active, which further reduces circulation and contributes to weight gain, particularly around the abdomen. Visceral fat is metabolically active and secretes inflammatory substances that damage the cardiovascular system. Diets high in processed foods, sugar, and refined oils worsen the situation, promoting oxidative stress and contributing to insulin resistance, a known risk factor for heart disease. Taken together, these changes create a perfect storm. The aging heart becomes more fragile, less adaptable, and increasingly sensitive to dietary choices. Without conscious intervention through nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle adjustments, the risk of heart disease climbs dramatically in the post-60 population. For decades, a specific category of food has been marketed as heart-healthy, recommended by health authorities, and integrated into countless diets, especially for older adults trying to manage cholesterol or blood pressure. Ironically, this so-called healthy food may be contributing to the very conditions it claims to help prevent. The culprit is refined vegetable oil, commonly found in products like canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, and margarine. These oils are present in most processed foods, including salad dressings, crackers, cereals, bread, snacks, frozen meals, and even foods labeled as low-fat or diet-friendly. What makes these oils problematic is not their origin from plants but rather the intense industrial processing they undergo before reaching store shelves. They are typically extracted using high heat and chemical solvents such as hexane, which strip away natural antioxidants and create oxidative byproducts. After extraction, they are deodorized and bleached to create a neutral color and taste, hiding the damage done during processing. One of the biggest concerns is their high concentration of omega-6 fatty acids, particularly linoleic acid. While omega-6 fats are technically essential in small amounts, the modern diet has led to extreme imbalances between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. Ideally, this ratio should be close to 2:1, but in many Western diets, especially among older adults, it often exceeds 20:1. This imbalance promotes chronic inflammation, a known precursor to cardiovascular disease, arthritis, diabetes, and other degenerative conditions. Unlike extra virgin olive oil, which contains polyphenol and anti-inflammatory compounds, refined vegetable oils lack these protective properties. Moreover, when used in cooking, especially frying, these oils oxidize easily, forming toxic compounds such as aldehydes and trans fats that damage blood vessels and increase the risk of heart attack. Another hidden danger is that vegetable oils are ubiquitous and often disguised under generic terms like vegetable oil blend or partially hydrogenated oils, making them difficult to avoid without careful label reading. Many consumers, especially seniors trying to eat healthy, rely on packaged foods or dine out regularly, unknowingly consuming large amounts of these harmful oils. Even foods advertised as heart smart may be loaded with canola oil or soybean oil because they lower LDL cholesterol in the short term. However, long-term studies suggest that while these oils may reduce one risk factor, they simultaneously increase systemic inflammation and oxidative stress, which are even more dangerous for cardiovascular health. As the body ages, its ability to combat oxidative damage declines, and the accumulation of harmful compounds from refined oils can accelerate aging of the arteries and increase the risk of heart failure. The inflammation triggered by excess omega-6 intake doesn't just affect the heart, it also affects joints, cognitive health, skin elasticity, and metabolic function. This makes the widespread use of these oils particularly concerning for those over 60, who are already more vulnerable to age-related decline. The misleading perception of vegetable oil as a healthy choice persists, largely due to outdated dietary guidelines and aggressive marketing campaigns. But emerging research has begun to reverse this narrative, showing a strong correlation between refined oil consumption and rising rates of cardiovascular disease in aging populations. Refined vegetable oils, though often perceived as heart-healthy, initiate a cascade of damage within the cardiovascular system that becomes increasingly dangerous with age. These oils, especially those high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids like linoleic acid, alter the body's internal environment at the cellular level. One of the most critical effects begins with chronic low-grade inflammation. When consumed regularly, linoleic acid integrates into cell membranes and lipoproteins such as LDL cholesterol. Over time, these fatty acids oxidize easily, especially in the presence of heat or light, forming oxidized LDL, a key trigger in the development of atherosclerosis. Once oxidized, LDL particles are no longer harmless carriers of cholesterol. Instead, they become signals for the immune system, prompting white blood cells to engulf them. This action creates foam cells, which accumulate inside artery walls and begin the formation of plaques that narrow and stiffen the arteries. These plaques reduce blood flow and oxygen delivery to the heart, increasing the risk of angina, heart attacks, and strokes. Additionally, they compromise the flexibility of the arteries, making them more susceptible to rupture under pressure. This process is insidious and often begins silently, without symptoms, making it particularly dangerous for older adults. Over time, the body's antioxidant defenses weaken, and the constant presence of oxidized lipids overwhelms the system's ability to repair vascular damage. Moreover, the excessive consumption of omega-6 oils disrupts the natural anti-inflammatory balance of the body. While omega-6 fats can be beneficial in small amounts, in large doses they suppress the effects of omega-3 fatty acids, which are crucial for reducing inflammation and protecting heart tissue. This imbalance not only inflames arteries but also contributes to clot formation, raising the likelihood of a sudden cardiac event. Refined oils also impair endothelial function. The endothelium, the thin lining of the blood vessels, plays a vital role in vascular tone and blood pressure regulation. In the presence of oxidized fats and inflammatory markers, endothelial cells lose their ability to produce adequate nitric oxide, a molecule that helps arteries relax and expand. Without sufficient nitric oxide, the blood vessels become constricted, leading to higher blood pressure and increased strain on the heart. Elevated blood pressure further accelerates damage to arterial walls, setting off a dangerous feedback loop that weakens the entire cardiovascular system. Compounding this damage is the presence of toxic byproducts formed when these oils are heated during cooking. Aldehydes and lipid peroxides, which arise when vegetable oils are used in frying or sautéing, are highly reactive compounds that not only damage blood vessels but also impair liver function and increase systemic toxicity. These compounds can alter proteins, DNA, and cellular membranes, triggering immune responses and contributing to long-term diseases, including heart failure and stroke. As aging cells become more vulnerable to these attacks, the recovery process slows, and the accumulated damage becomes more difficult to reverse. Furthermore, the pervasive presence of refined vegetable oils in everyday foods means that many people consume them unknowingly and in excess. This chronic exposure, especially among older adults with already compromised cardiovascular systems, becomes a silent but significant driver of heart disease. The belief that these oils are a healthier alternative to saturated fats has led many to adopt them into their diets daily, unaware of the long-term consequences. The reality is that these oils do not support heart health. Instead, they gradually erode it from the inside out, weakening arteries, fueling inflammation, and paving the way for life-threatening cardiovascular conditions. Across various parts of the world, individuals who removed refined vegetable oils from their diets and embraced whole, unprocessed fats began noticing profound changes in their cardiovascular health and overall well-being. While scientific studies offer clear explanations for how these oils damage the heart, the most compelling evidence often comes from the lived experiences of people who struggled with heart-related conditions and found improvement through simple dietary changes. These stories began to emerge in online communities, nutritional forums, and wellness programs focused on anti-inflammatory eating. One notable example involves older adults who had lived for years with elevated blood pressure, high triglycerides, and chronic fatigue. Upon cutting out foods cooked in soybean oil, canola oil, or corn oil and replacing them with natural fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and even small amounts of grass-fed butter, many reported measurable reductions in blood pressure and cholesterol. Within weeks, some saw decreased inflammation markers in blood work, while others experienced more subjective benefits such as better energy levels, less bloating, and clearer thinking. The reduction of processed snacks, fried takeout foods, and prepackaged meals played a major role, as these were the primary sources of oxidized oils in their daily intake. People in their 60s and 70s, who had dealt with stiff joints and slow recovery from physical exertion, also noticed greater flexibility and improved circulation after making the switch. In one health coaching group focused on heart health after age 60, members tracked their progress over 3 months after removing refined oils. Nearly all participants reported weight loss around the midsection, a common area for visceral fat that contributes to cardiovascular disease. More importantly, many noticed improvements in resting heart rate and blood pressure readings without any change to their exercise routines or medications. This suggested that dietary fat quality alone was playing a critical role in their recovery. Another recurring theme among those who experienced success was the improvement in blood sugar stability. Individuals with prediabetes or insulin resistance often saw better glycemic control and fewer spikes and crashes throughout the day. This helped reduce the burden on the pancreas and liver and in turn improved lipid profiles. Some individuals also noted better sleep and reduced reliance on sleep aids or anti-inflammatory drugs, as systemic inflammation decreased and the body became more resilient. These real-world outcomes gave them a sense of empowerment over their health, especially after years of being told that aging inevitably meant decline. In online testimonials and wellness interviews, people frequently expressed surprise that something as minor as switching cooking oil could have such noticeable effects. This surprise often gave way to frustration that conventional nutrition advice had overlooked the damaging effects of refined oils for so long. For many, this revelation became a turning point in how they approached food, prioritizing clean, whole sources of fat and avoiding anything overly processed. They became more critical label readers, more aware of hidden ingredients, and more intentional in their food preparation. These habits not only supported heart health but also improved their confidence and autonomy in managing their aging bodies. These real-world examples underscore a growing awareness that nutrition isn't just about what to limit, like sodium or sugar, but also about what to avoid entirely, such as chemically refined oils that offer no health benefit and instead degrade the integrity of the cardiovascular system. As these stories continue to spread through grassroots health communities, they challenge outdated dietary norms and provide hope for older individuals seeking natural and sustainable ways to protect their heart health. For decades, dietary guidelines promoted the use of vegetable oils as a heart-healthy alternative to saturated fats, largely based on early studies that associated saturated fat with increased cholesterol levels. However, emerging research has begun to challenge this long-standing narrative, revealing that many refined vegetable oils may actually contribute to cardiovascular disease through oxidative stress, inflammation, and metabolic disruption. The science behind these warnings is grounded in an understanding of how refined oils interact with the human body at the molecular level, particularly in aging populations whose systems are more vulnerable to damage. Refined oils such as soybean, corn, sunflower, safflower, and canola are high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fats, especially linoleic acid. While omega-6 fatty acids are essential in moderation, excessive intake disrupts the delicate balance between pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory processes. When consumed in high quantities, linoleic acid becomes incorporated into cell membranes and lipoproteins like LDL cholesterol. These molecules are prone to oxidation, especially in the presence of heat, light, or free radicals. Once oxidized, LDL particles are flagged by the immune system and become targets for macrophages, triggering a cascade of immune responses that contribute to the formation of arterial plaque. This process, called atherogenesis, is a primary factor in the development of coronary artery disease. Studies have shown that diets high in oxidized fats increase markers of systemic inflammation, such as C-reactive protein, CRP, interleukin-6, IL-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha, TNF. These inflammatory markers are strongly correlated with endothelial dysfunction, a condition where the lining of blood vessels loses its ability to regulate vascular tone and blood flow. Endothelial dysfunction is a key precursor to hypertension and atherosclerosis. In elderly individuals, who often already experience reduced endothelial function due to aging, the impact of chronic inflammation from poor dietary fat becomes even more pronounced. The cumulative effect of oxidized fats accelerates arterial aging, stiffening the vessels and increasing the risk of heart attack or stroke. The scientific community has also examined the toxic byproducts created when vegetable oils are heated. Cooking at high temperatures, especially deep frying, causes these oils to break down into harmful aldehydes, lipid peroxides, and other reactive compounds. These substances can bind with proteins and DNA, interfering with cellular function and promoting oxidative stress. Aldehydes, in particular, have been implicated in cardiovascular toxicity, neurodegenerative diseases, and even cancer. One study found that food fried in vegetable oils contained levels of aldehydes many times higher than safe daily limits recommended by health agencies. These toxic compounds contribute to the degradation of vascular tissue and may impair heart muscle function over time. In contrast to earlier assumptions, newer clinical data have questioned the link between saturated fats and heart disease, while simultaneously drawing attention to the dangers of excess omega-6 intake. Several meta-analyses have failed to find consistent evidence that saturated fat alone increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. Meanwhile, research from institutions such as the National Institutes of Health and Harvard Medical School has highlighted the potential harms of high linoleic acid consumption, especially when the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in the diet becomes skewed. Ideally, that ratio should be close to 4:1 or lower, but Western diets often exceed 20:1 due to the prevalence of processed foods and refined oils. The World Health Organization, the American Heart Association, and other medical bodies have begun re-evaluating their guidelines in light of this evidence, though official positions remain cautious. Nonetheless, a growing body of peer-reviewed research continues to build the case that the overconsumption of refined vegetable oils, particularly in older adults, may do more harm than good. These findings are prompting physicians, nutritionists, and researchers to advocate for a return to natural, minimally processed fats like olive oil, coconut oil, and fats from whole foods such as nuts, seeds, and avocados. As the scientific understanding evolves, so too does the public awareness that not all dietary fats are created equal, and that avoiding certain oils may be one of the most powerful steps individuals over 60 can take to protect their hearts. Eliminating harmful refined vegetable oils from the diet begins with awareness and intentional choices. For many people over 60, this change is not just about removing a single ingredient but about transforming daily habits that have been ingrained for decades. The first step is identifying the most common sources of these oils in the modern diet. Packaged snacks, salad dressings, margarine, mayonnaise, baked goods, and fried foods are among the most frequent offenders. Reading ingredient labels becomes a crucial habit. Products containing soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, or safflower oil should be minimized or completely avoided, especially when they appear high on the list of ingredients. Cooking at home offers the greatest control over fat sources. Replacing refined vegetable oils with healthier alternatives is not only simple but also enhances flavor and nutritional value. Extra virgin olive oil is a cornerstone of heart-healthy eating, rich in monounsaturated fats and antioxidants like polyphenol. It is ideal for cold applications such as drizzling over salads, vegetables, or grains, and it remains stable at moderate cooking temperatures. For higher heat cooking, avocado oil is a strong option due to its high smoke point and similarly healthy fat profile. Coconut oil, though higher in saturated fat, has also been shown to have stable properties during cooking and may be suitable in small amounts for those without elevated LDL cholesterol. Animal-based fats from high-quality sources can also be reintroduced in moderation. Grass-fed butter, ghee, and even small amounts of lard or tallow, when used from responsibly raised animals, can offer stable fats for cooking without the toxic byproducts created by vegetable oils. Whole food fats such as nuts, seeds, and avocados should become regular staples in meals, offering not just healthy fats but also fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Chia seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts are particularly valuable for increasing omega-3 fatty acid intake, which helps balance out the inflammatory effects of omega-6 fats. Beyond cooking, replacing store-bought condiments and processed sauces is another important step. Homemade dressings using olive oil, lemon juice, mustard, and herbs allow for complete control over ingredients. Nut butters made without added oils or sugars provide satisfying flavor and healthy fats, particularly when paired with whole grains or fruits. When eating out, being mindful of preparation methods becomes essential. Asking for food to be grilled or baked rather than fried, or requesting olive oil on the side, can help reduce exposure to low-quality fats. Meal planning around whole, unprocessed foods naturally supports the elimination of harmful oils. A typical day might begin with eggs cooked in avocado oil alongside sautéed spinach, or oatmeal topped with walnuts and flax seeds. Lunch could include a large salad with grilled chicken, olive oil dressing, and a handful of seeds. Dinner might feature baked salmon with steamed vegetables and quinoa, all prepared with high-quality fats. Snacks like hard-boiled eggs, raw almonds, or sliced avocado with sea salt can satisfy hunger while supporting heart health. The transition to healthier fats can take time, especially for those accustomed to the taste and texture of foods made with refined oils. However, many people report that within a few weeks their taste preferences begin to shift, and they find themselves enjoying the natural flavors of whole foods. With consistent effort, inflammation markers may decrease, energy levels can improve, and long-term cardiovascular risk may be significantly reduced. Removing harmful oils and embracing nutrient-dense fats empowers individuals over 60 to take control of their heart health, not through restriction but through informed and nourishing choices.